Hi, good afternoon. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome you all to witness our first section of Raffles University Fashion Designer Graduation Design Collection Sharing as a team named Mirror. What we are heard about a magic mirror can tell you the answer to the questions. Here's why we include the mirror element inside our poster and name this event mirror, as it reflects the thing each of us want to express in these opportunities. I'm Winnie and two of my classmates, Angeline and Huijun, will be the presenters today. Without further ado, let me start my fashion showcase first. So what you are viewing right now is my fashion portfolio of my latest collection rebuild. I have uploaded the booklet onto my website. You can come and take a look after the presentation if you are interested. I will presenting in a way of showing you my whole journey of designing this collection with this portfolio. My inspiration comes from an incident during last sem break. I was overwhelmed with laundry. Then I say to myself, if I didn't have so much clothes, then I wouldn't have to do and wash so much clothes and have so much work. So I start to clear out my closet over the week and I throw a bunch of clothes out even though they are still in good condition. But I just don't feel like wearing them anymore. I believe most of you have the similar experience as well. We will clear out our closet once if not twice a year. And do you ever wonder where does all those clothes you thrown going to? Before answering that question, let's start by knowing that the government and textile sector is the world's second largest cause of pollution according to my research. And this is all because fast fashion. The only way to stop global warming and fast fashion is slow fashion. It is as it encourages customers' buying behavior to be slow, ethical, and sustainable in order to benefit both environment and all people. But you may ask why fast fashion companies are responsible for this. Long story short, it's because most of the fast fashion brand launch their new collections, trendy design out basically every week. And we customer are encouraged to buy more because they doesn't cost much and we get to have new clothes, so why not? That's why end up we have so many clothes and once the fashion trend is over, we just left them in the closet and eventually throw them away. For more information, you can come and take a look on my report later because it's more detailed. So personally, I like to buy things. So I found an alternative is thrift shopping. Not because not only because they are cheap, offers limitless stylish option, but also is a great way to help our mother nature. With all these good terms, I have an idea of creating outfits from previous on clothing and design them into a whole new appearance. The pieces I'm finding are those garments that can't be sold by the bundle for years, either for their minor discharge or outdated fashion style. Those market rejected pieces will then end up in the landfill. After my research, I then lay my eyes on a local thrift store named Tokyo Thrift Store. They are willing to collaborate with me in this collection by sponsoring me around 150 pieces of their going to landfill government using my strength to help the environment reduce the waste in a tiny bit. Back to the question, where does all these used clothes go to? I think you have guessed the answer is the landfill. These giant textile mountains are sorted all around the world. We do own too much clothing. Therefore, I would like to apply the graphic of photography to represent the current sense of that much fabric gathered together forming mountains of fashion waste. In order to design a timeless fashion collection so that we don't throw them away once we feel it's outdated, I summarize the study of the 20th century fashion trend and categorize the trend which in kind of silhouettes are still in trend until today. Then that's how I consider them as a timeless fashion. I don't get to choose what pieces I get as I'm getting whatever the supplier gives me. The only thing I need to do is to deconstruct and reconstruct them. Since the color of the fabrications are too random, I can't form a meaningful color palette. So I refer back to my supplier's shop, took some photos and developed 8 color palettes for each look. I then start the development by sketching and understanding how the graphic works. Here is some video of my process of developing and understanding how the photography works and how they form into their shape. So I start the development by sketching, then I make out sampling on how to visualize my ideas into onto fabric manipulation. Here is my sampling sewing process as well. Okay, the video is not working well. So, from drawing to making out sewing silhouettes, I combine all the developing progress into more idealized image using Photoshop. In this way, it helped me to decide which style of photography design I want to focus on, which type of fabric manipulation I want, and where do I apply it out of so many options. Finish selecting the overall design direction, it's time to pursue the functional concept I mentioned to design a practical collections. To generate idea, I study how things like furniture or stationery transform themselves into other form for other purpose. Not only that, but I also take reference from other related designer getting some ideas regarding on what part of government can perform a transformation. I also make up some more silhouettes and place my sampling on them for further development, as these are the initial ideas to support my sketching of the looks. So this is all my sketches. From all these sketches, I selected 6 looks from this collection, and this is the color palette for each look after conducting a color matching section. More ideas need to be generated to select the remaining 2 looks, so I mix and match my design to generate new design ideas using Photoshop. And here comes my initial range plan. Here's a quick glance on my tour. Once the pattern pieces and fitting section is settled, it's time to start the preparation for the actual. After unpicking the garment, I use the print remover to remove those prints on the garment, and the next thing to do is sew them together into a big piece of fabric following their grain line. It's this In this collection I mainly use 3 kind of fabric manipulation. Due to the timing, I will only introduce one of them, which is this red photograph topography inspired pocket fabric. This piece of fabric is full of functional pockets and decorate with red string. I collected my fastening from my suppliers as well. Beside government, they also give me fastening like zippers and buttons for free. Well, in the accessories wise, I received some broken bags, beading belts, and many jewelry pieces. In the making of the actual pieces, some of the fabric are actually not enough. So I have no choice but to change some of the color palettes after another color matching section. Now, I would like to show you how my government transformed. So this is the first look. It has a topography inspired pattern at the back, and I also make a same color tone bag to go with it as well. You can see it can be wear in two styles and is attached with buttons on the shirt dress. So the design is actually a big pocket as well. This is the neck look. So the bottom part is actually attached with separated zipper, so it can either be a pants or a skirt. And I also make a transformable belt bag with this as well. Yeah, this is I show how the pocket is functioning. So this piece is a bit like a patchwork design. I also make a bag to go with it as well. The side has separate zipper, so it can be like smaller, slimmer, or oversized. And the bag is attached with the separate zipper as well. So the next looks have this unique sleeve, photography inspired sleeve. It is attached with the separate zipper as well and can be performed into a bag like this. I also make a lace mask to go with this look. And this shows you how to like attach the bag. The next look, I call it half and half, is because it can be assembled with the separate zipper in the center back and on the pants as well. So I make some more new pattern pieces from the design to better show how to transform. So similar with the other look, I also make a bag to go with it as well. And I think this unique part is around the button sleeve. It can be unbuttoned for different looks. And the bag, I also make like have a wallet detailing. So this look consists like three piece of government. The transforming part is basically on the jacket. It can be buttoned onto the shirt as well, and it also a big bag that you can store things. The pants is just full of pockets because why not? The more pocket the merrier. And this is how we can transform it. And I think this is the last look. You can see is a vest with a bag at the back. The bag can actually be separated as well, and the jacket can be attached onto the waist for different style of look. Yeah, and this I make extra pieces just for the sense of transforming purpose, demonstrate the transforming purpose. So here's some close shot with the bag. Okay. Now I would like to share my lookbook while giving a special thanks to my mom who has helped me unpicking lots of government during my process. She helped me to unpick all the government, the zippers and that, so that I can finish this collection, and we sew the pieces together and finish this collection on time. And also I would like to thank for my models who had helped me a lot during the fitting section, and also my lecturer as well. So that's like all from me. It's still a lot of information detailing from my collection that I didn't get to share with you. So if you are interested with my collection, feel free to click into the website after this event ended. Next, I will be passing the role to my talented friend Angeline after this video.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So it is pleasure that I having you guys to join my sharing sessions for today. So I'm Angeline. So today I'm going to talk about my design collections. This collection is a autumn winter 2023 semi-couture mixed gender collections. So before I going right into the topic, I would like to share about my personal thoughts about the theme mirror for these sessions. So mirror as a subject that can create reflections. To describe it for me, it can reflect human's life. So as a reflections that shows the results of what is being done. And here is the content list that I'm going to cover for the upcoming slides. So the list included the concept inspirations, the research, design development, silhouettes, sketches, color palette, fabrications, experiments, product progress, range plan, shooting idea, photo and spec, lookbook, websites, and my conclusions. So, first of all, I would like to talk about my inspirations. So, for my inspiration, I actually came from the emotions and feelings of human. So, human as a complicated species compared to other living things, like we consist of different emotions and feelings, like sadness, happiness, surprise, anger, and fear, and there are lots of emotions of us. So these emotions actually help us to making decisions, strive to survive, and avoid danger for it. So if we are having positive emotions and feelings, definitely we will be having negative emotions and feelings as well. So this is where I came across to the team silence uh, to express the feelings of a cyberbully victims. So why actually silence? As we talk about cyberbully victims, they are more likely to keep quiet rather than speak out the situation they are facing. So this is why I make my team name as silence. So, therefore, this is not only bringing awareness for the team, but silence as a noun to indicate something in different perspective. So, in my collections, first of all, what I'm going to indicate is the silence that trying to giving advice to those attacker, uh, telling them to keep silence instead of speaking harmful words. Secondly, is to present out the silence of the victims about their inner minds, thinking about the speechless, helpless, hopeless situation. So comes to my concept of my design. Emotions and feelings can comes in visible and invisible. So what I'm focusing on my collections will be those invisible emotions, feelings that especially for people who is facing or suffer from psychological, mental health and trauma. Most likely of it will be like anxious and fear, sadness, like this kind of emotions and feelings, which is majority of victims will face that for this situation. So why they actually face this kind of situation? So this is the reason of like they are having difficulty uh, of the conflicts in their inner mind. They wanted to be understand about the situations and seek for solutions, but at the same time they are not wanting to let other people know about their weakness and their powerless. This is why lead to the feeling of uneasy. Or even some worse situations concerned by those victims is that when bullying happens, most of the time is about the power and control targeted to those people who is powerless and weak as a threat. So the fear of making a scene can lead to the actions compounds the whole situation. That is why like most of the victims they rather keep quiet instead of speaking out the situation. But from what I want to let them know is that keeping silent is also not another solution for them because it might make things worse as well. So for my research part, unlike the past year for our bullying actually for the past year, it consists within a school surrounding or under a visible situations. Cyberbullying is different that can occur in any time and anywhere. So it's able to be perpetrated by synonymous sources. This makes it more relentless and often more cruel. Therefore, for my research, that I'm going to include into my collections, I have collected mostly are related to those artwork and art pieces as my reference to include in my collections. So all these emotions and feelings that I took out from the research is mostly like is unexpressible from facial expressions and their mouth. So this is where my concepts and my research came from as well. So as you can see from this picture, most of it is like anxious, loneliness, like the complicated feelings of victims. So with the reference that I've collected, I came up with a painting of my own to possibly cover up all the feelings and emotions that I wanted to include in my collections. So as you can see in the picture shows here, this picture actually quite covering up the sadness and tears, the broken pieces, the conflicts and complicated feelings with different color tones, the illness, and a lots of it. So, since for my collections, I'm going to express about the invisible feelings into a visible design collections. So, what I'm going to do is that I utilize my painting to include the shapes inside the collection. So, as you can see here from the painting, I split out the pieces of the painting as an indications of complicated feelings for each pieces and heartbroken and make it as my focus key elements of the collections. How am I going to apply it into a visible method? So this is where I came across like presenting the manipulations. This is the key element that can present the texture of skin with injuries and wounds. So the transformations of invisible into a visible meaning will be clearer. So before get right into my design and sketches, I came across with the silhouettes research that I wanted to include in my collection as a reference as well. So the reference that I picked is the Pharaoh youth in the 1950s. This silhouette is actually born for the teen boys around 1953. Yeah. The fuse of the making a rise of Teddy Boy actually is was from a controversial film named Blackboard Jungle featuring rebellious youth, and another one is the Rock Around the Clock. So at the time, Teddy Boys danced around and throwing chairs, throwing bottles, dancing along the aisle, lighting fireworks, which caused the end scene like the police fighting with the rioting kids. This is where the born of the word feral youth. So it was clarified that these teddy boys they actually incited in violence, but not all of them, because it is due to majority of these teddy boys they are born in a rich family, but they are less educated, so they possess the power of control. So this actually suits to my topic since my concept included of the violence in languages. So as the reference above, I did some combinations with my painting and the silhouettes research. As you can see from this picture, I combined my painting separated pieces into the silhouettes that I found. So the silhouettes that I finalized out will be puffy around the sleeve and a straight cut from the chest until the garment end. And then after the informations that I gathered, I started to conduct my sketches for my design. So for my sketches and design are more likely to include the texture as you can see from my pictures here, the manipulation with the curved line that shapes out the idea from my painting. So within the sketching moment, I also did some toilings, constructed the toils for my collages with the manipulations that I wanted it to include in my collections. Because of sometimes when I stuck a bit in middle of the new idea for the design, so I will do some collages and toilings for coming up with a new design. So as you can see here, all this design is actually came from the collages that I found. And then I also did use Photoshop to include the manipulations that I did, directly crop it into my designs to make the outcome clearer and what I want to include in my collections. So comes to my color palette of the whole collections. I actually mainly capture the color from the picture I found here with a complexity of color mixture and the texture as well as the emotion faces flow above within a wig teams. This picture actually trying to show that it is too heavy for a wig team to handle such a situation. So as the color bar shown at the right side, this is the color that I capture from the picture. So most of the color also it occurs in our human body as well. So like the black hair, the blue tears, the skin tone color, and the red blood. So in this slides, I'm going to talk about the fabrications that I'm going to apply into my collections. So in this slides shows the fabrications choice for the collections as well. There will be 5 types of fabrics in total that I'm going to apply into my collections. So as the main fabric I will be included in will be the elephant skin texture space fabric and the polyester, high quality polyester. So why I choose these two as my main is because that to give a supportive for my key elements, the manipulations heaviness. So another thing is since I'm going to include a puffy outcome around my sleeve end, so I also consider about ribbed fabric around the sleeve end to make the outcome stronger. So as for a semi-couture, when we come talking about semi-couture, mostly will be in a clean and nice finishing. So I also consider about the lining. Since my self fabric and the manipulations comes in a variety thickness and heaviness, so I tend to pick toyobo cotton as thin as possible. Of course, the surface as smooth as possible. The fabric for my lining. Finally, will comes to the bandages. The bandages, which is the key elements that I'm going to apply into my collections as well. Okay, so everyone might curious, how am I going to include bandages in my collections? So in this, from this page start on, I will explain more about this. So first of all, there are too many bandages in the world. The bandages like God's bandage, adhesive bandage, liquid bandage, crepe bandage, there are too many preference. So I'm not going to include all of them. In the end, I picked crepe bandages and God's bandages for my collections. Okay, so why I choose these two bandages? First will be the length to curve out the texture that I want, and secondly will be the durability and the stability of it. So in this page, I'm going to highlight about how I'm going to apply it into my collections. First, bandages mostly come in a cream white and a pure white. So what I'm thinking, to connect back into a visible wounds and injuries, I dye the bandages myself with different kinds of color that I capture from the palette. So as you can see from the pictures here, the technique that I have tried is tie-dye, spray dye, and soak dye. So at the end of the outcome, it seems that soak dyeing is the most suitable preference for my collection since I'm going to make it as consistent as possible for the whole collection, not only for each garment as well as each outfit. Another thing is that uh, since I'm using soak dyeing technique, so the dyeing powder and the water amount also a concern for the whole collections. Okay, so here's the comparisons of two different types of bandages after dyeing. As the picture shows here that the crepe bandages actually seems like the since it's a man-made bandage, so their absorption might be weaker than the gauze bandage since the gauze bandage is made of natural fiber. So that comes to the applications. As you can see from the left side, the picture shows is my first applications of the bandages on my toilings. So as you can see that the manipulation is not 3D enough and the color is too plain to present out the texture that I aiming for. That is why after that I came out with the picture at the right side. I did some trial actions with the crepe bandages inserted in between of the gauze bandage to bring out the different tones and as possible to bring out the texture of a human skin. So here is some production process for my collections before I coming out with my actual piece. As you can see from this video, some of the outfit actually comes with different tones of the manipulations. This is also part of my progressions since I'm capturing the best outcome of the manipulations. This is where the most time consuming for the manipulations. So after that, I will show you guys some close view of my highlights of the manipulations. It is because that these manipulations have to do it right before the close up, which is the lining part. So I utilize all these fabric pieces with a completed manipulations, and I capture it a close view for my highlights. So comes to the color applications. Color applications also a considerations for my collections as well. Is because that the fabrications that I have to consider about the supportive for the manipulations. So as you can see, like the black and blue will be my main color for the supporting of the manipulations, since these two fabrics are my main fabrics to support manipulations. So another concern is about the skin textures of elephant space fabric. So it comes in a texture. So for some certain part that without manipulations, I also consider to include it inside my collections. And then this is the illustrated range plan for my front wheel after have confirmations of the color fabrics and my applications of my manipulations. And this is the back view of it. So after I have completed the outfit, I also did a line up a collection overview of my collections with a model in an actual outfit. So this is the front view and this is the back view. Okay. So after I have settled all my outfit and included my trimmings as well, so it's time for me to think about my shooting idea. So I mainly capture the feelings and the emotions from the concept I research about during the situations of cyberbullying. What kind of environments will a victim stay under? So below are some of my research regarding about the situations during cyberbullying. The victims will stay under alone and a silence, a peaceful environment. And then this is the overall visual that I'm capturing, which is a plain background with nothing to present out the silence atmosphere. Maybe I will include some of the furnitures, like only one within the whole visual to cooperate with the model poses. Okay, so in these slides, I will briefly explain about the outfit. So like the first outfit, since it's the heaviest amongst the whole collection, so I name it Pressure. And the second outfit is because of the specific on sleeve design. There is a hidden manipulations under the jacket, so I name it as a hidden for a present represents of a hidden scars. The third outfit shows the flows of string tightened around a human body, so I name it as struggle. The fourth outfit as the flow of the manipulations from the top across to the bottom presents out the flows of tears, so I make it flow. The fifth outfit is an unequal separated panel of both sides on the top, so I make it broken. Sixth, as an eye presenting an anger feeling on the middle of the top, so I name it as anger. Seventh, obviously, like a pair of eye is crying, so I name it tears. And finally will be the eighth outfit. The eighth outfit actually is the pocket and the jumpsuit is trying to form a screaming facial expression, so I name it as anxious. And here are some of the significance pages of my lookbook. So I have made it into a landscape format. As for the distance, for some photos that comes in two models. So I want to capture the feelings of silence atmosphere. So as you can see from the lookbook overview, the word, not even the wording, the pictures, I will cover up the whole page of the uh, lookbook without lefting any spaces for the photo. This is also like capturing the best feelings and the atmosphere that I want. Okay, so this is an exciting part that this is the web page overview of my website. So since my project is not only about bringing awareness and concept, I also included the portfolio of the project, the whole project inside my web page. So this website I will mainly focusing on building community. So why I built this community is because that I want to share that everyone can share their point of view in my web page, and also as a supporting actions for cyberbullying victims, letting them know that they are not alone, that there are a lot of people out there facing the same situation as they did. So this is what I mainly want to bring out for the public. So everyone, if you're interested to view my webpage, don't hesitate to scan the QR code below so you can bring you directly into my webpage. And here are some of the behind the scenes of my photo shooting. Yeah. So in conclusion, it is not only children have to be aware of these consequences, but as well as adults us. Since this kind of situation is no limit in age and gender, and of course it can occur anytime and anywhere. So we have to take actions to be aware, letting them know that this situation is quite serious, especially under a lockdown situation. So maybe we can provide some supportive action against the victims, especially to those who is having suicidal thoughts. Before I end my sharing, I would like to share a quote with you guys. Um, Never assume that loud is strong and quiet is weak. So thank you for your time and attention. Hopefully everyone enjoying my sessions. So I will pass the mic to the last speaker, Hui Jun.
Hey, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Hui Jun. Today, I would like to showcase my final collection, which is the Autumn and Winter 2023 Avant-Garde collection, which is called Away. So for the tips, my website link will be posted in the comment area. In my website, there is like more photos and the full video that can show my collection more clearly. So when I'm presenting, you're also able to visit my website to have a look if you are interested. And then if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop a comment at the below. So this collection actually is talking about a topic which is called misogyny. So why I will came up with this topic is because I saw an article which is talk about the misogyny. And then this topic actually is bring me a lot of inspirations and make me surprising and so shocking. And then actually the misogyny is talking is refers to when a woman subconsciously projects sexist ideals onto the women and even onto themselves. And then women were being degraded subtly in our everyday life. Besides, the misogyny does not only refers to outright to a belief in the inferiorities of the women, but it also refers to the byproduct of the societal's view that cause the woman to shame, doubt, and undervalue themselves. And then this collection, I would like to convey the message which is encourage the women who bounded by the prejudice, discriminations, and also the stereotype to get rid of the shackles and stereotype frameworks. And then the theme name of this collection is called Away. That means the woman away from the prejudice and also the misogyny and not bounded by the rules and the stereotype. Female need to be beautiful. Female needs to be independent. Female needs to be slim. Female needs to have a child. Females who wearing short is like considered as a not a good girl, and female could not have the armpit hair. Did you hear any of those statements in your life? And does any of those statements ring a bell for you? So now I will talk about what is the misogyny. According to a book which is called Dowger, The Logics of the Misogyny from the Cat Manuals, it argued that the misogyny should not be understood primarily in terms of the hatred or hostility some men feel towards all or most of the women. Rather, it is primarily about controlling, policing, punishing, and exiling the bad women who challenge the male domain. And then a female will receiving the unsolicited comment on their body and then facing the double standard as different expectation about the way male and female are supposed to behave. And being asked about the marriage and having a children, these kinds of stereotype for the woman. And then although we think we may be independent and more freedom enough in this era, but we still have many preconceived notions about how a woman should exist that stem from the societal's expectations and gender norms. However, this blatant acts of sexism isn't considered as a problem by the most of the people. The fact is, some people will still think it's okay to talk about the woman this way, and then they want the woman to see that this is how they regard them. And then some people also have encouraged a cycles of misogyny and double standard in which they raise the young girls to be pure, to be demure and chasters. And then here is my overall range plan of my collections. My collection actually has its own story flows, and then the collection is from a very femininity style to a loose exaggerated silhouettes, which indicates the people gradually away from the misogyny. And then the collections was inspired from the 16th to 18th century of fashion, including the corset, crinoline, which represent the bondage feeling, and lampshade silhouettes from Paul Piles, which represent the freedoms as it gives out the hourglass shape that is like more trendy on that area, which is also features the female body. And then the combinations of black and red colors convey a sense of powers to bring the awareness. Besides, I also give each look a name to represent the flows and the story. So before I'm explaining my each of the collection, let me show a video about all my outfits. Okay, so let me introduce my each looks of my collections. So the first look is called the double standard. The double standards surrounding the sex are harmful, but all genders should have the freedom to express their sexuality or their choice without the judgment. The double standard actually is rooted in sexism are one of the main problem of the misogyny and one of the example is the fact that men and women get treated differently in relations to sex. In the discussions about the virginity and sexuality, men are prizes, and while the women are made to feel like they are losing something or giving something away. And then while men are frequently pushed by those around them to lose their virginities, they will seem like to proving themselves more like a man, more of a man. But for the women, they are left in a double bind situations, meaning either options they choose may result in the undesirable consequences. The virgins are often made fun of sins as approach, while those who have the sex will be called sluts and wolves. So I think it's like quite unfair, and because the men and women get treated differently. And then this social construct are based on the years of misogynistic surrounding and the woman's having attitude that restrict the women from doing what they want and make them feel guilty for their decisions. While the women have gained many rights over the years and the society has grown dramatically in the right direction, but I think there is still much improvement to be made. And then beside, I also heard about a news before which happened in the social media. A woman posted a screenshot of a lewd group chats between the college age friends who were talking about a particular girls. And then from the original post, it was made known that this girl, who happened to be the original poster cousin, is a minor in high school, and that after making the sexual comment about her physical appearance and drawing a penis over her selfies, and also then listing the way in which they like to do her. And then aside of from the gross and blatant disrespect and sexual objectifications, the things that make me shocked is a surprising numbers of people were up in arms and defending the groups of grown men, and then saying that the people taking these issues like too serious, and then the statement that like the men just doing it for the attention. These kinds of claim come up, and then as though the victim wanted to be victimized in the first place. And then they also criticize that why had the people felt the need to shame the boys publicly when they were just doing what the boys naturally do. If the victims really had been sexually harassed, shouldn't she go straight to the police? These kinds of statements come out. And then a days or so after the initial posting, the victim's cousin deactivated her accounts on social media after being met with large numbers of threat and insult. So I think it's like quite sad but unsurprising, because we also always can see these kinds of similar cases in the social media, and the people will also will judge the women and then blame the women instead of saying that the men have the fault. And then the second look is named as the fulfill the expectation. This society has actually regulated a set of rules to the females according to the men expectation. For example, the society has set the standard about the attractive girls or good girls. And then some people will say an attractive girl should have a long black hair, slim body, and then white skin, big eyes, or something like these kinds of standard. And then the people will also like to have a more prefer the girls to have a clean and light makeup, and then the girls that have the heavy makeup with wearing the short and then go to the pub drinks will be indicated as a bad girl. So this kind of stereotype is always around us. And then the people also set a rules to the female that they need to take care of child and husband, and then female will be encouraged to give up their job or careers after marriage or have the children. And then so female being expected to fulfill those kinds of expectation, and those expectation actually like a virtual prism or cash to factor the female behavior and their choice. So female will pay the attention to those appraisals from the others. And then in my opinions, the beauty sickness is also one of the result of too care about others review. So you can see that these garments, and they have a crinoline or cash out wear at the outdoors. So it's like kindly represent a cash or prism, which is like bond dash the females. And then the look trees is called controlling. The misogyny also about controlling their behavior. Sometimes people would like to control the female to retain their virginity to become something like perfect persons. And then in the name of chastity, some people would like to control the female behavior. In some country or religions, they believe that the man's sexual desire is privilege, while the woman's sexual desire is charitable, such as the privileged male sexuality over the female sexuality, and wife cannot refuse her husband sexual demand, but husband can refuse the wife demand. Something like these kinds of funny things. And then beside the charitable fact that happened is called the honor killing, which like very surprising me and very bring me a great shock. So this is happened in some backward country. The honor killings occurs when the women violate the honor of their families, and then the honor is depending on the sexual purity of the female. And then next example is the FGM. FGM is also one of the examples that really happen in the world and still existing in some areas. And then the FGM, also known as the female genital mutilation, is implemented in some countries of Africa to ensure the virginities of the girls. In every society where FGM is practiced, the FGM is a manifestation of deeply entrenched the genitals inequality. It covers a series of procedures performed on the genitals of women of different age, including the total or partial removal of the female genitals or other injuries caused to the female genital organs for non-medical reason. And then the first time I heard about this case, I was feel shocked and I actually feel quite sad. And then for the statistics in the um, 30 countries in Africa, Middle Eastern, and Asian countries where FGM is concentrated, and more than 200 million girls and women has been cut in today. So it's like a quite huge numbers in for these cases. And then, although this action is like really harming to the woman's body health, but still supported by both men and women. However, the men will accept these kinds of FGM, which is harmful for their body, is because they are bounded by the public opinion and the peculiar looks. As anyone does not follow the norms, they may face the condemnations, harassment, and ostracism. So the more terrifying thing is the FGM is only aiming to control the woman's sexuality and ensures the virginities before marriage and fidelities afterward, and also increase the male sexual play. So I'm thinking which is like quite unfair to the female and then bring a lot of harmful to the females. And then the look for is called challenge the stereotype. The stereotype will bring the hurt to the women and bounded by the usual judgment. The social marketing rate is one of the example. Social marketing raise the anxieties about the appearance of the women. Like the magazines, they will like encourage people to have a very slim body and white skin, something like these kinds of things. And then we encourage the people to female to say no to the stereotype. And I believe that many of people start to concerns about these issues and give efforts on changing these situations, either is men or women. And then some organizations and brands also started to use XL models to fight with the stereotypes and previous beauty standard. And then the look 5 is them as care yourself. In the misogyny case, actually female put themselves as a lower status to compare to the men, and then they accept what walls and society constantly trying to make them something else. So in my opinion, the first thing that fight with the misogyny is female should more care about themselves and also be confident as well. While the female more emphasize and care about themselves, they will have like more strongs and mentals and hearts to defend against the malice from the other. So for this look, you can see there is a round silhouette. The round silhouette actually is like represent a shell to covers the peoples, which is like something like represent to protect themselves. These kinds of meaning. And then the look 6 is called don't judge. Women always will be criticized or monitored by the world or by the society. So do not judge what female behave and respect and understand their choice. I think is one of the great methods to avoid the misogyny. And then in order to create a healthy society, we have to respect other choice and behavior. We always like will judging a female according to the stereotype, like she's not pretty, she's bad, as she drinks, she go to the pub, and she success in her career. Also, maybe she didn't have the husband. She's pretty, and her husband is older, so the husband should be a rich man. Something like this kind of statement always we will hurt it in our surrounding. So we always will hurt this kind of judgment, and then I will like to mention that please don't judge. And then the look 7 is called inclusive, inclusive of different beauty. Women need to learn how to accept themselves, including the imperfects. And then the society also should embrace the different beauty. Female no need to be tall, white, slim, but we also can admire them are charming. And then we also respect to different kinds of beauty, but this beauty is not only considered as the appearance, it's also considered as can be defined as the wonderful and beautiful life. We accept the female would like to success in their career, but we also admire the female would like to stay at home as a housewife. So we provide more choice and more freedoms to the female. Lastly, the Look X is called Be Yourself, which is the main point of our collections. To be yourself, do not factor by anything beside of morals and away the misogyny. We should learn to find our own value instead of work hard for other expectations, and then do what we want to do, be ourselves without factors by the stereotype. Next, I will briefly talk about my idea development. My collections was inspired from the 16th to 18th century, which is also called the early modern century, and then which is like very femininity, full of volume, and slowly my collection will become loose and exaggerate silhouettes. This collection will have a flow which is from the negative moods to the garments, which is bring the good expectations and hope. Next, I will show my idea development outcome. And then so in order to make my collections show the feelings of bondage by using the elements of crinoline and corset, as we can see the look one with the lacing design at the front, and beside the back of the look has a curve at the center back to represent the bone is curved, is represent the corset actually bring the harmful to the body, because the corset on that time is like something a trendy item to show the female as hourglass shaped body, which is like indicate the woman is like pretty. And then beside the look too, the model wear a crinoline to represent a cache. And then the development of cache actually is inspired from the crinoline in the early modern century. In that time, these kinds of crinoline actually is used to support the huge dress and then to give a huge shape for the dresses. And then the look 3 and look 4 has the crinoline elements with the bow. And then it is actually inspired from the combinations of crinoline and the handcuff. And then the look 5 have a very big circles at the back to represent a shell, which help the woman to protect and care by themselves. The look 4 I also inspired from the Elizabeth rough collars from the early modern century. And then I made the garments into the layerings and full of the ruffles to come out with these kinds of feelings. And then the top of the look set actually is inspired from the FGM cases. And then I use the ruffles to come out with the shapes, something like the photos of the books. So it's bring out the layerings effect. And then the look 7 is inspired from the layering silhouette, but it give up the tight and slim at the waist, but loose fitted. And then the collar will also inspire from that era, which is have an exaggerated rough collar, but for the look 7, I make it like simplicity. Beside in look 8, the dress is inspired from the butterfly's big shape at the back and the lancet dress from the Paul Pirates, which represent the freedom, as the lampshade dress in that era is actually give up the hourglass shape at that which is trendy at that century. So before my idea development outcome has come out, I still make lots of collaging.
Women is rising up through the hidden crevices of online forums and entering real life.
Women aren't just evil. You know what I'm saying? Women are evil. Women are cruel. Women are mean.
And then I made a lot of collaging, brainstorming, researching, juxtapositions, and developing. But due to the time is like limited, so I do not explain one by one here. I just like showing some of the videos to show my artworks. And then the fabrications of my collection actually is including the silk, satin, netting, and the organza. The netting actually I mainly use to create the pleateds and the gathers effect, which is one of the main elements of my collections. So next I will show a video about how my netting, pleated, and gathers develops. So in the collections of Away, the main colors will be the red and black colors. The combination of these two colors would like to show the strong power spirit to bring out the concept of Away misogyny. In the Western country, the black and red color are the most sinister color, as the red actually normally convey the meanings of blood or angel. However, the black represents the darkness or death. As a very visually striking combination, they can also convey a sense of power and give the impressions of burning and destructions. So let me show you a video again about my collections. And then actually this lookbook you also can find it on my web page. And then here is all my range plan. As you can see, is from a very feminine and tight silhouette until a loose and exaggerated modern silhouette to represent what I say before gradually go to the more good expectation and hopes. And then here got a QR code. You may scan for it, as it has like more details outcome of my collection. And then the QR code will bring you to my website also. Okay, that's all for my presentations, and our first live sections has been ended today. Thank you for your listening and your time. And then don't forget, we still have our second live sections on 16 April at the same time, 2 p.m. There will another 3 designers to showcase their wonderful and impressive work. Remember to come and support our classmate on 16 April this Saturday. And see you and have a good day.